Hi, welcome back to our October challenge. Today is day 3 and we are doing a fall scene. Now here I didn't use, but I always recommend 300 gram for the paper. Our palette is just a normal school grade palette. We're just having some fun today with some autumn colors. I do recommend do a very light sketch. Do not use too much force on the pencil. It's just a guide. When we are doing trees, we don't want to make it too defined. We want some vibrance, some movement. And this reminds me, I do have a tutorial on how to paint an autumn tree in more detail. I hope you check it out. It's in my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Here, as you can see, I show the difference between a tree with a blended shadow and a tree with a hard edge shadow. So in the first one, we work only on wet technique. The second one, layers, 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 letting each layer dry. And that's the technique we'll use at the end of our video. Now start with a light wash. I chose this blue grayish, very light color for the sky. It is how the weather's been here where I live in Portugal, very gray. And then I chose some ochre, some light green, some brown, some red. We focus now on the tree and we basically start building layers. Tap, 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 tap. Let it dry. Tap, 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 tap. You should consider leaving obviously some spaces already planned for where you are putting other branches. And then we start doing the tree trunks. Again, watercolors like an onion, layers, layers, layers. I show you some type of trunks that you can choose. And we start doing some darker and darker browns. Now, if you are doing a tree more in detail, you should leave some space for some highlights. You saw me here drying a little bit, adding more color, adding more layers. Have some fun, try different types of trees, and then when you already have this type of tree that you love doing, then do a bigger painting. Now, I start from bottom to top. The underneath leaves, they are darker, they are this darkish brown. Then the medium leaves are in a more reddish. And then at the top, I have a more beige, white style of leaves. And basically you are just tapping, 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 hair drying. Tapping, 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 hair drying. And this will create these layers. Now this technique with the dots that create this type of style is called stippling. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's the creation of a pattern simulating varying degrees of solidity or shading by using small dots, which is more or less what we are doing here. An important tip when you are choosing a scenery is that the background is always a more light wash than the foreground. The further the object, the cooler, the closer, the warmer. So this is why I have a very light blue at the end and here at the front more reddish style. Now to do some leaves, some grass, some vertical lines. I always have a lot of fun with this. You should have to. Nature is not organized. I mean, it is at some universal level, but you don't have to make it geometric and perfect. I'm going back to some more layers, to the tree trunks, to the branches. Don't forget where the light is coming from. Although, of course, in a gray day like this, the light is more diffuse. Some darker details at the bottom. This creates more intensity, more shadow, more volume. And I always like to give some examples of other artists where you might take some inspiration. Here we have a Courbet, sorry for the accent, Forest in Autumn. His painting relies more on the atmospheric representation of the fall than a realistic rendering. And now here we have a Van Gogh, the garden of St. Paul's Hospital, where he stayed for a while. And we take the fall there from colors and leaves blowing. I'm adding some white highlights. It's not pure white, it's already with some yellowish tone in it, just to give this watery look, like it rained. And again, I'm always comparing watercolor with onions because it's all about the layers. You let it dry, you add another layer. You let it dry, you add another layer. That's it. Tap, 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 tap. You see very well how this tapping is creating different texture to the tree, making it more credible. It's just a nice effect. Don't think too much, just tap, 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 tap. We have here before and after drying. That's the final result. I will just give a few more details before I remove the tape, which is always very tense moment for me. And that's it. I hope to see you tomorrow on day 4. Like and subscribe.